I want to tell you about 3 books that I read that I couldn't pry from my hands. I was absolutely obsessed with them. They were such page turners. So if you're in a bit of a reading slump, you don't know what to read next, these 3 are some good contenders for you. First, we have Vladimir by Julia May Jones. This is like reading someone's completely unfiltered diary that they've just word vomited at the end of the day when on the edge of psychosis. You can't look away, it's like watching a car crash. The premise is a professor in her late 50s, and her husband has just been disciplined by the university that they both work for having affairs with students. They were in an open marriage, so she's kind of okay with it, but still it does sort of trigger a bit of a crisis of identity, and that crisis of identity causes her to fall inescapably in lust with her much younger co-worker, Vladimir. It gets quite dark, and there are also some really interesting threads about academia and the differences in generations. So the next one I love for a completely different reason. It's called The River Has Roots by Amal El-Natar. This is just such a lovely story. Like, it's beautiful. It's the story of 2 sisters, and their love for each other is so wholesome. I do love always seeing a story about like sibling bonds, because I think it's not done enough. It's magical, it's whimsical, it's captivating. Like, it just took me out of the misery of the current world and put me into such a charming and lovely and whimsical place that I want to go back, and she's one of my favorite all-time authors. The last book that I recommend, and this is quite a long one, the 2 that I just recommended were on the shorter side. This is maybe 400 pages, but for an entire afternoon I was sat there reading this. I couldn't move, couldn't leave my house. This is the story of 2 young men who have to go into World War I, and they are secretly kind of in love with each other, but obviously during this time period queer relationships were not allowed. So it's not only the story of their relationship and how they deal with that, but also how they get through World War I as such a traumatic and horrible thing to live through. And the thing that the author did, Alice Wynne, I can't believe this was a debut because it was so good, is she does the trickiest, cleverest thing. So it's set in World War I, right? How would you know if your neighbors or your friends had been killed at the front? You would read the newspaper. And that's how the author lets you know the characters you grow to care about and love. You have to find out by the every other chapter newspaper reports if they're alive or not. So you're scanning the newspaper to see, oh my god, is he okay? Where is he? And that was so clever because it's really flashing back to what people would have really experienced to live through this time. And I thought it was such a smart addition. And it just makes you keep reading because you're so nervous for the characters, and it gives you so much more empathy and understanding for what war in that time period was like.